Yes, he is.
He's the chosen.
All right, if you're on hold, stay there. We got Blazer Game Day coming up next. Enjoy your night, Godfather. A little AEW wrestling for you.
Maxwell Jacob Friedman, the greatest heel in wrestling, will be here tonight.
All right, enjoy that, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, Chris Burkhardt's with me. He'll join me next. It's Blazers Game Day coming up. Blazers and Kings tip-off at 7 here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
Inbound him again. Drive, stop, pump, shoot, short, no good, and the game is over! Kermit on the inbound play. Inbound, fades at the horn. He scores! They score! And they win it! Bingo, bango, bongo. Yes, sir. Bounce pass to Ainge. Ainge for three. Rip! Yes, sir.
Blake now throws to Roy. Brandon, a three-pointer out front. Hit it! Yes, he did! Oh, yeah! Deep three. Oh! What? Blazers win the series. A walk-off three from Lillard.
It's a new era in Portland.
Rebound, Sharp, put back, dunk. And a new career high for Shaedon Sharp.
I will miss the chance to learn from Dame, but we also have Anthony Simons and JG, guys that have been around him. I won't miss the development on my own part.
It's Blazers Game Day with Chad Doing. Blazers Game Day is presented by Frost Brewed Coors Light, made to chill.
Well, good afternoon, my friends. This is Blazers Game Day. I am your host, Chad Doing. Tonight, the Trailblazers are in Sacramento to meet the Kings. Tip-off is coming up at 7 o'clock. I do have the latest. We know that Scoot Henderson will not play tonight as he continues to be out with that sprained right ankle. So we'll keep an eye on that, and hopefully he can play later in the week. It's a light week for the Blazers on the schedule. Sacramento tonight, and then they don't play again until Sunday. They'll be in L.A. to take on LeBron and the Lakers. So the Blazers now taken to the road for a couple of games. Coming off that loss Sunday night at home against the Memphis Grizzlies, it was a bizarre game where there were stretches in the game where the Blazers played sensational basketball, especially in the third quarter where they came out and outscored the Grizzlies by 12. They built a double-digit lead, and everything was cruising. And then the Grizzlies smarted up just a bit. They started to clog the paint, and they forced the Trailblazers to become a shooting team, and Portland went ice cold. And they pulled off something that I rarely see in the NBA, but I think it was with 8:13 remaining in that fourth quarter on Sunday, the Blazers after a three from Jeremy Grant had built the 98-86 lead. And in the final 8:13, Memphis outscored Portland 26-2. Think about that for a second. 26-2. So Portland managed just 2 points in the final 8:13, and that was on free throws. No field goals for the Blazers in the final 8:13 of that ball game, which is bizarre. And it's unfortunate because there were stretches where we saw great defense, especially from Tamani Kamara. There was player movement. There was ball movement. There was a lot of things happening in the game through stretches. It's like, that's exactly what we want. And then they went ice cold and missed shots. But that's to be expected with this team. And something you want to think about as they continue to press forward. Offense is always going to be a bit of a challenge for them, and that's because they don't have a lot of great shooters, scorers on the floor, especially without Anthony Simons, their best offensive player, their best shooter. And the Blazers going into that game on Sunday were next to last in the NBA in offensive efficiency, and they're dead last in the NBA in three-point shooting. And, of course, you got to be able to make some threes to be able to compete in the game today because so many teams are putting up a high volume of threes night in and night out. So for Portland, I think it's pretty simple. It goes back to what we've talked about all season, focusing on incremental growth and really paying attention to the way that Chauncey wants them to play and how the guys are responding. And if they continue to do that, regardless of wins or losses, that's what we're focused on. And then after that, the development of the young players, Scoot Henderson, who's out, and, of course, Shaedon Sharpe, who has been a breath of fresh air. He is playing with confidence. I really like his decision-making with the basketball in his hands. And as someone told me on Sunday at the game, he doesn't even know how good he is. He's still figuring it out, and when he does, he's going to become an even more effective basketball player, which is terrific. So a lot of things to look forward to, and the Blazers continue to press forward. The one good note is they have improved significantly early in the season on defense. They were number 9 in the league in defensive efficiency going into the game on Sunday. They've been holding their opponents to about 33% shooting from downtown. That's a major improvement. They've been good in the steals department. There's been better communication. They've got longer and better athletes who are on the court now. So we're seeing a better response defensively. So I like that. Better defense. Guys are playing hard. Communication's coming along. You can start to see some of the signs of what Chauncey wants them to do. And they're going to need that. They need to play with energy. They've got to scrap. And that's what Nate McMillan used to say all the time. They've got to scrap and fight. Fight, scratch, claw. They've got to continue to play hard and be opportunistic on defense to manufacture points. And hopefully what we'll see is as the season moves along, we'll start to see the pace pick up because they're one of the slowest teams in the league. They haven't been able to get out and run as much as they would like. And I'm hoping as their defense, as they continue to work on it, they can create some turnovers, which will translate into some easier buckets, which will help them out on the offensive end, with their issues that they have with scoring. So we'll keep an eye on that. But what I like about, the early part of the season, it's not about one guy, but it's really multiple guys who are stepping up and making game-winning plays, which have led to the 3 victories that we saw last week. Multiple guys. DeAndre Ayton had a career-high 23 rebounds. We're seeing the defensive effort from Tamani Kamara. Jabari Walker playing hard, coming off the bench when he gets an opportunity with his defensive presence. I think Malcolm Brogdon has been really a terrific add, a great vet, and someone that knows how to run an NBA offense. He's been effective. He had a double-double in the game on Sunday. Jeremy Grant has led the team in scoring, I think, 2 of the last 3 games. So you're getting multiple guys to step up and make contributions, which is critical. That's good. The defensive improvement is nice. But the offense, based on where they're at right now, is going to continue to be an issue. Now, one topic that continues to come up, and I'll just tell you where I'm at on it, what are they going to do when Ant returns? He's going to be out for about another month as he recovers from that thumb surgery. But when he returns, what do you do with the starting lineup? Because it's pretty clear that Shaedon Sharpe has got to start. He was placed in the starting lineup. Chauncey Billups made that decision. I applaud him for it, and he's responded with, solid play. And he's doing a little bit of everything on the court. He's grabbing some rebounds. He's been able to score. We're seeing him play, make, and get some assists. Using his long body, his strength. He's been getting to the free throw line, and he's been more active on defense. You got to start him. I mean, he's proven it. He's earned the opportunity to get more starting minutes, and his veteran teammates are trusting him in key situations to make decisions, which I think is great. So you're going to start him. Ant's got to start because he's the best player on the team, and he's making $25 million. So what I would do is when Scoot returns and Ant's back, I start all 3. I start Scoot, I start Ant, and I start Shaedon at the 3. And I thought Ben Golliver made a great point earlier today. normally, if you're a team that's in a position to contend or to make the playoffs and you've got a chance to make a run, what you're going to do under those circumstances, it's pretty simple. You're going to play the team that gives you the best chance to win games. And having Shaden at the 3 and being a little undersized is not ideal because you lose something defensively, but that's okay. Because the Blazers aren't going to be in a position to make a playoff run. That's not the focus right now. They're in a full rebuild in year number 1, and it's going to take some time. So you can afford to take on losses or maybe not have the best defensive team on the floor because your focus is getting the most experience to Shaden and Scoot to get them up to speed as quickly as possible. Because the faster those two guys respond, the faster they get to the level you want them to be at, the better this franchise is going to be. What you want is Scoot and Shaden to play so well that you force the Blazers to have to make a tough choice about the future of Scoot, Ant, and Shaden because you want those young guys playing terrific basketball. And I think, and what I've learned over time, the best way to learn is to play and to be in there in the starting lineup to get serious minutes. And for Scoot, who is a great athlete and someone who's very competent and very confident, being out there on the floor against other starters is going to get him up to speed quickly. I think that's the best way to do it. I know some of you disagree, but really, what are we talking about here? So if you don't go with Scoot in the starting lineup with Shaden and Ant, you're talking about Ant, Shaden, and what? Tamani Kamara at the 3? Or Matisse Thybulle? Those guys are just role players. You got to go with the youngsters and give them a chance to go. All right, Chris Burkhardt, my man, is here. He had his birthday this past weekend. I wish you a happy birthday on Sunday. It's great to see you, my friend. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderfully, Chad.
The YouTube stream is looking good. Nice work, brother.
Thank you.
How do you look at that whole situation with Scoot, Ant, and Shaden? When both are back, Ant and Scoot, what do you do with the starting lineup? How do you view it?
Man, that's a $1 million question because who is the future of this franchise?
Scoot, Shaden.
That's what I would say too,
Yeah.
right? And I heard you talking about with The Godfather, I think it was yesterday, like this idea of positionless basketball makes sense to a point, but that's also a cop-out to me. Like Shaden is not a small forward.
No.
And you might be able to slot him in there, but he's shown with the way he's playing right now, especially offensively, that he's definitely a 2-guard. And even if you play positionless basketball, meaning you put guys at different positions and 6'5" guys playing center, those positions still kind of fundamentally play the same, right?
Yeah.
And a small forward is not your go-to scorer in your offensive sets. It's just not. Yeah, you're going to get shots, but not the way your 2-guard does. So that's where the conundrum is, because if you slot Shea into the 3, you take him away from what he does best. So it's back to what you and I talked about a couple days ago. It's what route do they go? Because they're going to have to decide if Shea or Ant is that guy in the long run.
I don't think they're ready to make that decision either.
I don't think they are.
They need more time. I guess my question would be, if you bring Scoot off the bench, how much does that slow his development coming off the bench and not getting a chance to go up against the frontliners on the other team?
I think it slows his development tremendously. And I think Blazer fan might like it, right? Because then they see him all of a sudden, look at him. He's scoring more efficiently and he has less turnovers, but he's playing against a second unit. He is your 3rd overall pick. You need to throw him to the fire and you need to know what you have and you need to know what you have now.
You know what? It sure feels like they need to trade Ant sooner rather than later.
It does. It does feel like that.
And we love Ant. I'm a big fan of him.
Oh,
He's
of course
terrific.
we are. I mean, big time Ant fans.
But when you drafted Shaden and then you went and drafted Scoot the next year, that kind of set you up in the backcourt. That's your future backcourt, right?
I think it has to be. And you're not paying Ant, especially in the middle of a rebuild, $20 million and more to be your 6th man, right?
Yeah.
And Shea, if he's especially playing with the way he's playing right now, gets relegated back to the bench, and all of a sudden, that's going to be okay. Well, I don't want to sign nobody's contract. I want to hit free agency and see what happens here. I mean, Ant might be getting Wally pipped here.
Yeah, he might be. You know what I love too with Shaden, what we've seen over the last couple of nights. He looks real good with the basketball in his hands when he's bringing up the court and making decisions, facilitating. He's making better decisions now. He's more sure of himself, setting teammates up. I like that. And his veteran teammates are trusting him. That's good.
It's huge. It's huge. And for a guy like him, I think we said it a lot last year, Chad, was like you saw the weapons. All you needed to see was the confidence, right? And now he's playing with that confidence. And that's exactly what Scoot needs to get. And I think Scoot will get that by continuing to be in the starting lineup. I think it just sends a really, really weird message if you're going to say, okay, we traded the face of our franchise to open up a spot for this guy to bring him off of the bench, which you could have done with Damian Lillard on your roster, right? So that just, to me, would be a very, very mixed signal that they're sending to their fan base, who is trying to still swallow the fact that Dame is wearing a Bucks jersey.
All right, you've got Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt, Chad Doing with you. Tip-off with the Blazers and Kings coming up at 7. We'll come back, and we'll give you a scoreboard report. There's some great games in the NBA tonight, and then we'll continue to preview what's going to happen tonight. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Also, you can join us on the live stream. Go to youtube.com, pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. Subscribe, and you will find the live link there. You can join us for all of our local shows. Rip City Mornings with Justin Myers, Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad, Blazers Game Day and Fifth Quarter, and Courtside Mondays with Chris Burkhardt here on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, checking the NBA scoreboard tonight. The Wizards right now lead the Hornets second quarter in Charlotte 43-35. Second quarter in Indiana, Jazz on top of the Pacers 43-41. Celtics lead the Sixers 40-35. And first quarter in Brooklyn right now, Clippers 10, Nets 9, Knicks and Spurs just underway. And a bunch of games coming up later on tonight. Suns are in Chicago to meet the Bulls. Suns favored by 1.5. Tip-off at 5. At 5 o'clock in Houston, Lakers and Rockets. L.A. favored by 2.5. 5 o'clock in Memphis, Heat and Grizzlies. Miami favored by 1.5. 5 o'clock in Milwaukee, Pistons and Bucks. Milwaukee favored by 12.5. Pelicans are in Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves at 5. Minnesota favored by 9.5. 5 o'clock in Oklahoma City. Cavs a 1.5-point favorite over the Thunder. In Dallas at 5:30, Mavericks and Raptors. Dallas 4.5-point favorites. Big game tonight on ESPN at 7. Warriors are in Denver to take on the Nuggets. Golden State at 6-2. Denver at 7-1, and the Nuggets are a 3.5-point favorite. The Kings and Trailblazers down in Sacramento at 7, and right now Sacramento is a 7.5-point favorite. All right, we'll get to Scoot here in just a moment. Let's go out to the phones. Let's go to Tim in Milwaukee. Tim, welcome to Game Day, my friend. The stage is yours.
Hey, I couldn't get in fast enough to cover your LeBron versus MJ, the greatest ever. I've always been on Team Kareem, but you brought up a good point in that he really didn't embrace leadership, and I don't think that he didn't necessarily have a capacity for leadership. They did call him the captain, but I think that if you look during the course of his life, especially his younger years when he was much more socially active, let's say, social justice-wise, he kind of had an anti-establishment rift about him that I think carried him through his career. So I think that perhaps his lack of leadership was a little bit of a pushback against the machine, if that makes sense. But he was friends with another guy you talked about, Muhammad Ali, and something Ali did that I have adopted into my life for years, and it's always worked. Ali had this thing where he would shut down when he needed to win, he would shut down for a round or two. And then when the round really needed to be won, he would turn it on about the last 30 to 45 seconds. And it wasn't necessarily how he knew that that's how the round would be remembered by the judges as to what they immediately just saw. So it's kind of one of those things where if I'm in a job interview or if I need some kind of performance value in my life to give me leverage or an edge, I always remember to deliver in those last few seconds because that's usually what people will remember most, and that kind of gives you an advantage. Now, there is one thing that I kind of want to talk about adjacently being also one of the greatest things ever, and that is Costco, Chad, during the holidays. I was at Costco this morning and heard something that made me want to call in today, and I'll keep it short here. I was in an aisle, and then over on another aisle, the Costco associates, Chad, they carry these walkie-talkies on their hips so that they can talk to their management or communicate with each other in the retail warehouse. So you hear conversations happening on these walkie-talkies.
Yes.
And what I heard across the aisle from me was this: I'm going to need you to drop them and spread them, Robert. I need to smell it. So this is what I hear coming over the CB radio. So I'm thinking this is going to be hilarious. So I walk around to see exactly what had happened. And what I thought was going to be an avant-garde adult scene was just simply two pallets. One had been punctured by a forklift, and it was full of coffee creamer. So the gentleman that was coming to survey the incident, the drop him and spread him, Robert, I need to smell it, was coming to survey the coffee creamer that had been punctured on the floor to see how much of it had actually spoiled. But I wanted to share that with you today as it was the most holiday thing I've heard in years, Chad. Have a great broadcast tonight.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I don't like walkie-talkies. I don't like people at stores talking on walkie-talkies. I think it was towards the end of last Blazers season, there's a Walmart that's right below a couple of minutes away from the station. And I went down there after the pregame show. I needed to pick up a couple of items. Unfortunately, one of those items was Preparation H, and I couldn't find it. And I kept looking, and finally I'm like, dude, I got to get out of here. So I found one of the blue vests, and I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, where's your Preparation H? And I was just hoping she'd give me the quick point, and I'd be able to go and grab it and get out of there with some dignity. No, she didn't know, and so she got on the walkie-talkie, and before you know it, all of the blue vests knew what I was looking for. Why did you have to do that? Just tell me you don't know, and I would leave the store. You were giggling, too. You've seen those walkie-talkies at Costco. You know exactly what Tim's talking about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, do you guys shop at Costco as a family?
Oh, yeah. Just started here in the last few months because, those wonderful people at the OSAA turned me on to it. So,
Dude, it's a great place, but I have never gone there when it's not total chaos. The parking lot, getting through the store, the aisles, it's chaos.
are you doing this on purpose? Because Myers had an entire segment on the chaos at Costco this morning.
Oh, he did? I did not. I knew he did because what was the message I got today? Someone reached out and sent me a message. Oh, here's what it said. Came into the station. He didn't specify show. I just knew it had to be Myers. Here's the message from Kevin T. First 20 minutes on air, zero sports talk, but got filled in about doctor's appointments and Costco. Come on, man, do better with the smiley face. And I was like, that sounds like Justin Myers. And there's a lot of things I don't like about any of that either. Costco, parking lot, aisles, chaos. What I don't like about going to the doctor is this. So I'm like you. I'm no different than any of you. I've got places to be. I've got a schedule, and my time, like anybody else's time, is valuable. I don't think my time is any more important than anybody else's, but it's valuable. So why is it when you have an appointment that's like 9 o'clock and you show up and they don't get you into the room until like 9:25? Why is that acceptable? Because they're a doctor, their time's more important than me? I don't think so. So I've now gotten to the point where if it gets to about the 15-minute mark past my appointment time, I'll walk right up to that little desk with the sliding plastic windows, and I'll be like, excuse me, my appointment was at 9. Why am I still sitting here? It drives me crazy. So I understand the frustration there from Justin.
No, I get why they do it because what they tell you is that they like to give every client their time, right? So if the one before them goes along, and then it just snowballs out of control. But the thing that gets me is like you will show up 5 minutes early, right?
Yeah.
Tell them you're ready to go. You sit there, you wait the waiting room to go into another waiting room. But if you are 5 minutes late, oh, yeah, well, there's going to be a fee for that. We might have to reschedule you. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, you're going to a fee for being late? Though, if I'm 10 minutes late to my scheduled appointment at the doctor,
yeah.
I'm still probably 15 minutes early.
It really bothers me. I think it's total nonsense. It's nonsense.
I mean, when I was a personal trainer, if I trained a client for 15 minutes beyond our hour, and that made my next client 15 minutes late. That's not how it works.
No, they'd be mad at you.
They'd be mad at me.
As they should be.
They'd be mad at me. It should be like taking an extra seat on the plane. Like if you're scheduled with the doctor for a half hour, but you want to actually take 45 minutes, you got to pay extra for that extra 15.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but if you're spilling over into my space, you should probably have to buy my seat. And because I'm svelte, I'm a target. I am a victim on airplanes. They see me and they're like, all right, there's my guy. I'm like a magnet for large human beings.
That's why I loved when I traveled with the Godfather.
Yeah.
Because I'm a window guy. He's an aisle guy. And when you put the Godfather with his mean mug in the aisle, nobody wants to take the middle seat, baby.
No, I am the aisle guy. I don't sit next to windows. I don't need to see anything. I like the aisle. All right, let's go out to the phones. Let's go to Eastside Mark. Eastside Mark, welcome to Game Day. What's on your mind, buddy?
Hey, guys. Not the Blazers. Chad, believe it or not, how you doing, buddy? Good
Fabulous.
Time.
Good to hear your voice.
Hearing your voice. Yeah, I'm still with us, my friend, so I know what you're talking about with the doctor's visits and stuff. So listen, anyways, I got something that surpassed my incident with the Loomis armored car.
I
the
doubt
one where
that.
I got sideswiped. Well, you ready for this?
Yes.
My car got stolen. And not only that, it was basically they returned it. I got it 2.5 days later. They trashed the inside. They wrecked 3 of the corners. The front drivers and both back ends corners were just toast. The car has now been repaired by, I'm not going to say the name of the place. They did great work. They took care of that side swipe, the mark that I had, because it was in the damage zone where I had damage from the people that stole the car or whatever. It got stolen right out of my driveway. So anyways, yes, I went 7 weeks without working because they have to, when a car gets stolen, one of the things they do is they test the inside of the car for drugs because a couple of mechanics have got poisoned by that fentanyl crap.
Yep.
Stuff.
Yep.
So, yeah, my car came back negative for that, but it came back positive for crystal meth. So not only did these guys steal my car, they went around smoking crystal meth in it.
Yeah.
Because, like, the service manager, he knows I'm just an old hippie. He's like, you don't mess with that shit. And I go, no. And he goes, well, your car does.
Whoa. Let me just hit the dump button about 5 times.
Come on, guys. What are we doing?
Easy.
You beat me. You were quick on that. I like that.
Oh, my goodness. I'm a vet. I got the antenna up at all times. Easy, Mark. Easy. I know it's crazy out on the east side. That's why I don't go to Gresham. You know, it's scary out there. That may be okay to do in Gresham, Mark, but not here. Not here in Tigard, baby.
Your good friend Michael Shacker was trying really, really hard for Preston and I to cover a game out at Gresham High so that you'd have to tease it all week. Be like, oh, yeah, and later on tonight in Gresham.
That's crazy. All right, let's go to Mitch in New Jersey. Mitch, welcome to the show, my friend. What's on your mind?
How's it going, guys?
Fabulous.
I love going to doctors. I've been to doctors now like two times the last 2 months. I've got caught a cold. I'm still fighting a cold. Same thing with my little grandson. Those daycares, boy.
Yeah.
Wipes out an adult.
It's like a petri dish.
The whole family. Okay. And I've been to doctors. I've got bitten by a dog. I still have to sit there and take care of myself. I needed 5 stitches one time at work. I didn't get a look until like an hour and a half into the cut, the gash I had. It's amazing going to doctors. I think LeBron's the second best player. I'm putting Wilt at number 1.
What? And
to me, I think it'll be a great game. Caleb has a nice shot at it. If he puts up good numbers, look at Tim Tebow's Heisman year. He was 8-4 only. Be spoily here. They finally got rid of Grinch about 12 games late. The name is classic, but good riddance. And
hey, wait
it's
a
been a great year
second.
for the Pac-12.
Yeah,
I enjoy a lot of these games.
The Pac-12's been awesome. I got a question for you, though.
I guess.
Hey, Mitch, I got a question.
Sure.
So Wilt's 1, LeBron is 2 on your list. Where's MJ?
Number 3.
Oh, okay. I was just curious, Mitch. See, this is what happens. Everything's going well, and then the show deteriorates quickly. Thanks a lot, Mark, over on the east side. Let's go to Tony and Boring and just continue this destruction. What's going on, Tony?
Oh, late night yard work because, well, it gets darker an hour earlier. Thank you.
Yeah, this time of year is so great, man. We have like 5 hours of daylight, bad weather, and a lot of rain.
Right, yeah. So you got to hurry up and try to get work done so you can, get a little yard work done before it gets dark.
Hey, congratulations. 25-year anniversary yesterday for you and the wife. That's awesome.
Thank you for the kind words. Yes, appreciate that. We are definitely a rare breed. There's no doubt. Michael Jordan, obviously, is number 1 in my book. But the doctors, I've been inspired by the doctor story. So, I had that hernia. So I thought, I didn't know how long it would take to maybe get on schedule for surgery. So I thought I'd get ahead of the game by going to see my primary, which I really like. I had a good relationship with him. But so I go to his, where he normally is. And I arrive 15 minutes early like they request because it's pretty close to my office.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, he doesn't practice here anymore. He's over in West Lynn. I was like, well, it'd been nice if somebody would have told me that. Well, you probably got it. You should have got an email. Well, I said I didn't. But when people call and he just recently moved, it'd be a good idea to let him know at that time. So they're like, well, you still have time. Run over to West Lynn. So I go from Oregon City over to West Lynn. I think I walked in the door. It was like 3:03, so I was maybe 3 minutes late. She'd already talked to the lady in Oregon City and was trying to tell me, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Kohler, we're going to have to reschedule you. I said, why? I'm here. My appointment's at 3 o'clock. She never even freaking answered the question. She winds up going to the back, I'm assuming to talk to my doctor, and still comes back and says, yeah, I'm really sorry. We're going to have to reschedule. I reserved my tongue. I just hit the door really hard on the way out, and that's it. I'm done with him. I got a new primary, and all is well. But, yeah, I fired him.
Yeah, that's good. You shouldn't have to deal with that kind of stuff. It's nonsense. Oh, my goodness. All right, let me try and steer this program back on track here. All right, Scoot Henderson. It's very simple. Look, when he comes back, you got to start him. You got to start him. I'm making sure that Scoot and Shaden are starting, period. And if that means you got to start Ann out there too, I'm doing it. I know it's not ideal to have Shaden Sharp at the 3, but I need Scoot Henderson on the floor. He is the future. He does not need to earn minutes. He was the number 3 overall pick in the draft, and he would have been number 1 had it not been for Wembanyama. So I'm playing him, I'm starting him, and I want him to get big minutes. The most important thing for this franchise right now is for Scoot and Shaden to play, to learn, and to develop as quickly as possible. And the best way to do that is to play, to start, and to get big minutes. Is it ideal to have Shaden at the 3? No. Is he going to have difficulty dealing with some of the threes out there on the floor? Yes. Does it put the Blazers at a disadvantage in terms of size and defense? Probably. But so what? They're not going to the playoffs this year. Acquisition. Here are the top 2 most important things right now with priorities with the Trailblazers. It is player development. Let me repeat that. It is player development, not winning games, and it is acquisition of assets that comes via draft picks or young players, and you get those by taking some of the veterans you have on your roster right now that are not part of the future and exchanging them for a nice little basket of prizes, of gifts. Guys like Malcolm Brogdon, who I love. Malcolm Brogdon's been a great pro ever since he arrived, but at some point, some team that's a contender is going to come calling for him, and they're going to offer up a huge package, and you happily put a smile on your face and do it. The reason why the Blazers acquired some of these vets was to exchange them for more young assets. I want Scoot Henderson to play. He is an alpha male. And you cannot see or watch 3 to 5 games and tell me he's not ready. That's insane. And you know what? I don't care if he's ready or not. Play him anyways. Continue to roll him out there in the starting lineup. You need to teach and develop. Teach and develop. Him and Shaden. I didn't think Shaden was ready in the preseason. Look at him now. He looks great. Shaden Sharp is going to adjust and be just fine. All right, let's keep things rolling. Tip-off's coming up at 7. So what have we learned so far? Costco is chaos. The parking lot's bad. And you could hear some very strange things on the walkie-talkies. You don't want your car stolen out of your driveway. And doctors have their own time schedule. How that applies to the Blazers in Kingston, I have no idea, but I know it does somehow.
It's like a metaphor for everything. You just got to think about it.
I mean, just like Tony, when he showed up and the doctor wasn't ready and he got shafted and had to fire him, the Blazers got to show up in Sacramento tonight and be ready to go on the defensive end because the Kings are a good offensive squad.
A lot of people thought Chauncey showed up and wasn't ready for the gig. They might have to fire him. See? It's all making sense now, man.
All right. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Be sure to go to youtube.com, pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620, click subscribe, and you can join the live stream right there for all of our local shows. All right, Blazers and Kings from Sacramento coming up at 7 o'clock. Be sure to go to youtube.com. You can go to our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. We're live streaming all of our shows now, so it's a great way for you to interact with the show in our group chat. You can see what it looks like in studio. And I apologize, I look kind of hideous today, scruffy. You can see my gray, and I've got whiskers. It's unfortunate, but I am here, and I'm here for you as we get ready for some NBA basketball tonight. You want to jump on board? 503-248-0620, 503-248-0620. I did want to mention the Denver Nuggets real quick. I just want to continue to give them props. I disrespected them in my mind before the year began. I didn't want to believe that a team like Denver could win back-to-back championships, but they sure look like a team right now that's on a mission to win back-to-back championships. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA right now, and that team is playing terrific basketball. Usually with champions, they don't come out of the gate with a purpose to destroy everybody. But that's what the Nuggets have done. They're 7-1, and they're playing great basketball. They're going to be without Jamal Murray for about a month. He's got a hamstring strain, but they've got so many pieces to be able to make it work. And I credit Mike Malone, their coach, for finding different ways to motivate his squad. It's not uncommon for a champion in the NBA who played, deep into the summer and all those extra games, and you win a championship, and then you have the parade, and you take the summer to soak it all in. You would expect those type of teams to maybe come out of the gate a little bit slow. It's okay. We're the champs. We know how to get over the hump now. But they have not done that, and I agree with what Chris Burkhardt said a couple of weeks ago that, maybe that's what Coach Malone, he knew after they won the championship that it would take some creative coaching on his part to really get his team focused in. And I think what he did is he pointed them in the direction of people like me who doubt them. And if you take a listen to the national narrative on the Nuggets, when people talk about the Western Conference, Denver's just one of the teams that's lumped in with the Lakers, the Suns, the Warriors, and everybody else. But the truth is Denver's the best team, and they've got the best player. And Michael Malone's a darn good coach, and he knows how to motivate them, and he's not afraid to call them out when they don't play hard. So I'm impressed, very impressed. And when you look at all these other teams in the Western Conference, they got flaws. Ben Golliver joined us earlier today and said the Warriors right now appear to be the best threat to take out the Denver Nuggets. He may be right. They're undersized, but they thrive in that type of environment because they can play fast, they can move around, they got good shooters, and they can put pressure on your defense. But the Lakers have issues. The Suns right now are a total disaster. And I think there's some other good teams in the West like the Clippers and the Kings, but I don't consider them legit contenders. So maybe tonight in Denver with the Warriors and Nuggets early in the season is a little sneak peek at what we're going to have in the Western Conference Finals. Now, of course, in the NBA, so much can change because injuries play a part. The Warriors are an older squad, and they're going to have to remain healthy. But I've just learned to kind of tip the cap and give the nod to Jokic. I don't fight it anymore. He's great. He's a terrific basketball player. It's like Saban. I used to be somewhat annoyed by Bama fans, but I just had learned that, no, he's the greatest of all time. I'll just tip the cap and say, you know what, he's great. Props to him. They're dominant, and what he's done in this day and age of college football is amazing. What I see from Jokic now is like the guy's just great. And it's frustrating in our minds because he doesn't look like a superstar. He doesn't move like a superstar. But his game and his understanding of basketball and the way he makes people around him better, he's just great. You're right, Burkhardt. Malone found some way to get to his guys to communicate to them that no one believes in them. I did not expect them to come out of the gate swinging like this at 7-1.
I like Malone a lot. I've always liked him. I mean, I think he got the shaft there in Sacramento. I mean, and Boogie respects the hell out of him. So good coach, and they have the best player on the planet who just views basketball as a 9-to-5, which is hilarious.
If coaches, you know what? If you're honest with your players and they know that you're honest, they'll let you coach them hard. And Malone is honest with his guys. And so, therefore, they respect him and they let him coach him hard. Like sometimes he'll chew out his guys. He'll clown on them in the media with their lack of effort sometimes. And I respect that.
You know what's a little bit interesting about that, Chad, is like this idea of kind of like being nice to your players and letting them get you on, being a player's coach, right? People talk about that. More players than not that I've talked to love a coach that holds them accountable. Like, that's why so many players love playing for Spo and so many players love playing for Popovich, because he calls them out. We've heard the stories from Spo about the fact that at a practice, it didn't matter if you were the star of the franchise or the end of the bench guy. He's calling you all out the exact same, and players respect that. And so it's very interesting to me, because this idea of a player's coach, I think the guy who calls you out and keeps you honest might be more of a player's coach than people want to think.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter what level you're on, you need to be coached. We all need to be coached. And you need someone to press the buttons. And when you're not doing things the right way or you're not competing the right way, you need someone to tell you that.
I mean, you can't tell me that, you know, in your experience as a radio guy, that even today, like, you don't learn new things, right?
All the time.
Like, I think I'm pretty good, but I learn a lot every single day. And I always remember, I think it was a quote from a Ken Griffey Jr. along the lines of, you always got to work hard, because no matter how good you are, there's always somebody better. Maybe he's not in the league. Maybe nobody saw him, but there's always someone better. And it's that accountability to always be learning, always be working.
It's important. I watched the Sly Sylvester Stallone documentary on Netflix last night, and that's basically what I learned from him. He's never at a point where you feel like he's arrived. He's always learning. He's always pushing the envelope. He's always trying new things. He's always trying to challenge himself, and I respect it. And by the way, I'd recommend you check that out. Any of you would like that. If you're a Sly fan, you'll like the documentary on Netflix. I think it's titled Sly. Very creative. Okay, we'll come back. We got to hear from Chauncey Billups from practice as the Blazers get ready for this game against the Kings tonight. And thanks for your time. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. If you want to hit me up on X, you can do so at Chad and Rip City. Chris Burkhardt is here. Chad Doing is here. And we got the Blazers and Kings coming up at 7 here on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, fact number one, the Trailblazers remain number 9 in the NBA in defensive efficiency. And you got to give them a lot of credit for that. And I know you hate this, Blazer fans, but you know who deserves a lot of respect? Chauncey Billups. I know you don't want to admit it. You want him fired. You don't like Chauncey. But he deserves credit with what we're seeing from the guys. One, I think Dame no longer being in the locker room, it gives Chauncey a little more freedom to kind of have his control and put his imprint on the team. That's helpful. It's hard as a young NBA coach or a new NBA coach to come in and really be demanding when you've got strong vets in the locker room. But now we're starting to see these guys respond. They're playing hard. They're active defensively. And, of course, they've got a more athletic roster with more length, which is nice. So props to the Blazers. Their defense has been great. The offense is not good, but I don't really care right now. Offense can come along easier than defense. You want guys playing the right way, communicating, following the system, and continuing to see change. So what I'm most excited about this week with the games against the Kings and Lakers is to see if that defense can continue this type of production going up against some of the better offenses in the NBA. Now, one of the keys tonight, De'Aaron Fox is out for the Kings, so maybe they won't be quite as frantic with their pace and make things a little bit easier on Portland, but we'll see how they attack. I'm going to pay attention a lot to their defense this week to see if they continue to get after it on that end of the floor based on what we've seen so far. Also, I think the Trailblazers, this could be a good game for them because of the challenge with the Kings' pace. I mentioned before, especially with De'Aaron Fox, one of the fastest guys in the league, they want to play a pace. The Blazers have been playing slow, and we're seeing this transition where Billups wants them to play faster. Remember the preseason talk about getting over the half-court line and getting into your sets with 20 to 21 seconds on the shot clock? I want to see the Blazers try to pick up the pace and find ways to create more easy buckets throughout the game so they can make things easier on themselves. Shots are tough to come by. And we saw that in the game on Sunday where the Grizzlies clogged the paint, forced Portland to become a shooting team, and they couldn't make shots. Their defense, their aggressiveness, and willingness to get out and try to push tempo and create some easy buckets might be a good thing to do. So keep an eye on that. The other thing, too, and this is absolute, with Robert Williams out, the Blazers, I think, need to find a way to do some type of small move. I'm not talking about a blockbuster, but find a way to acquire some depth in the front court. Without Robert Williams, they're severely limited now in the front court, and they don't have a lot of size on the bench. And you got DeAndre Ayton, who's been a breath of fresh air, but they've got to go out and get some size. So if I were the Blazers, I would look to make a move, bring somebody else in that can play some minutes and provide some size to help out that second unit. And for Robert Williams, get the surgery, get him healthy, and then somewhere in the future, he can be a valuable trade chip for your Portland Trailblazers, which is nice. All right, let's take a listen to Chauncey Billups. This is following practice, and get his take on the upcoming week for your Portland Trailblazers. I think Brooke Olsendan starts out by hitting him with the question.
It's totally random, but DA just made us laugh over here, of course, talking about his trash talking, and he thinks he's the best one on the team, especially in these practice facility moments. Would you agree?
Yeah. On our team, I would probably say yeah. He can get it going. He can get it going. Yeah.
And can back it up?
Yeah. Obviously, shoot. I don't consider a dude a good trash talker if he can't back it up. So if you don't back it up, you're talking for no reason.
Do you like that in practice?
I do. I just think it adds a level of competitiveness a lot of times when one team or 2 or 3 guys are talking stuff, and obviously that's going to make anybody go harder, and play harder, compete harder. So I've always been a fan of that. It could be a thin line sometimes. You don't want it to get out of hand, but we got a good feel on that.
Overall, are you happy with where the team is at right now developmentally in terms of where maybe you expected them to be this time of 2 weeks into the season before the season started? I'm extremely happy with where we are. I really am, man. I mean, even after a night like last night, a team goal, you don't score a field goal in the fourth quarter for 8 minutes. 95% of those teams, they concede that loss. They just wasn't our night, boom. We just don't do that, I think as a coach, anybody will be very happy with that. And
these guys I told them today, I'm having so much fun coaching them. I just love it because every time we say there's an issue of concern, we've been talking about the last day or so before last night's game, we talked about passing. We're not passing the ball well enough, man. We're just not. We're missing driving kick opportunities, boom, boom, boom. Well, we go into last night's game and we have our best passing game of the year. Yeah, 37 catch and shoot threes. It was our best assist ratio percentage. It was our best. I mean, they do everything we ask them to do. So I've been so happy, with our team and with our intention and with our focus, and it's been so much fun, man. So much fun.
Are you looking forward maybe to seeing how they elevate their play when the competition gets better and you start playing more teams like the Sixers and Clippers and how those win versus?
I look forward to every game. What I'm really most looking forward to is us getting healthy. We in a lot of these games, and obviously no school, they impact our game so much. Our paces went down incredibly without Scoot out there. Our shot making and how teams play us is totally different without Ant out there. So, I'm really most looking forward to getting those guys back, and I'm looking forward to every single game. You start to learn more and more about DA and about our new guys and Rob, and this process is just that. So I'm looking forward to that every single game. But for us, I have confidence that every night we're gonna compete. We're going out there, we're gonna lay it on the line. Some nights we're gonna go out there and we're gonna play against these juggernauts and stuff. And we're gonna be in the game and we're gonna press them as hard as we can. And some nights we're gonna lose those games. You just run out of talent sometimes. It is what it is. You are where you are. But what we asking them to do, I love it. I love it. They're doing it every time.
You've asked Jeremy to be more of a ball hog this year, which I talked to him last night about it. And he's like, it's not necessarily his nature, but he's trying. How do you think he's been responding to that?
Well, I'm pushing Jeremy to shoot it more because we need it. You missing 25 points a game in that. And a lot of times he has opportunities and it's not his nature to do so. So I'm asking him to do something that he's just like, dang, but he feels like it's a bad shot or I might be shooting too much. It's almost selfish to not shoot those because we need them so bad, So we asking him to do a lot more. I mean, what I'm asking of Malcolm right now, he's a knockdown shooter, but he hasn't made shot. I'm playing him too much. I have to, right now with our guards down. So we got guys they laying it on the line. They're doing the best that they can and probably getting worn down because of it.
Do you have any sense of whether Scoot might be able to go on Wednesday?
I don't. I'm not sure yet. It looks like he's trying to do a little bit more out here, but yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't seen him do a full workout yet, and obviously we'll be very cautious with putting him out there.
All right, there's Coach Billups at practice. You made a interesting comment, Burkhardt, where Coach Billups sounds more relaxed.
I think he does. I think it's nice as a coach to have a team that is coachable. I said this before. Like, he already had the pots made, right? Now he's playing with the clay. He gets to mold it how he wants, and I think that's nice. And you were talking about your truths and what to expect, and it's like, is it going to be messy? Sure. But even in tonight's game, like, I feel like you have an idea of what to expect the Blazers to look like.
Yeah.
Right? Scrappy, improved on the defensive end.
Oh, yeah.
Like little things like the last 2 years, I don't feel like you had that.
Boy, if they continue to defend like this, like if they end the year and they're somewhere near the top 10 in defensive efficiency, like someone deserves a gold medal for that type of activity. Right?
Yes, I'd be amazed if they were still up there. But if they are, yeah, someone deserves a little praise. I just think it's interesting because I'm going back, bless his heart, going back and forth with Nick Thompson on the chat here, not wanting to buy Chauncey's crapola, as he says, and this and that. It's like, dude, like Chauncey, if you really read between, is like, had a rough go. I mean, how are you supposed to go out there and coach with a team that from the GM down is not giving you a true direction, right?
I agree.
For the first time in this 3 years, this team now has what it truly wants to do for its direction. And you've said it before. It's develop, develop, develop. And now you get to see if he really can put his fingerprints on this product or not. And I think with the gradual changes we've started to see and the fact that the team looks the same right now every single night, like I said, you kind of know what to expect from him. I think he can do that. So, like, everyone wants to get mad. Oh, this and that. Like, no, like, I don't know why, but I'm eager to see if this can be done. I'm eager to see if he can actually coach. I'm eager to see what these young guys do. Like, I don't understand why we want to poo-poo it all the time. You lived through, and you're living through it again right now, terrible years of the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
I lived through terrible years of the 49ers. At no point did I ever go, oh, my team is winless. Guess I don't want to support them. I don't want to root for them. Like, my fandom knows no bounds, right?
I agree. Look, well, what I want to do is Look, I'm no different than anyone else. I've had questions about Chauncey, and I've heard whispers around the league about Chauncey. But I also have to acknowledge that the first couple of years, he was hired by one GM who was fired shortly after he was hired, and the new GM that took over took the team in a totally different direction. And those first 2 years he was coach, they were tank seasons. So you have to acknowledge that that's not an ideal set of circumstances to be able to properly evaluate a coach. I guess what I want ultimately, Chris, is I want to let the data dictate my decision-making. And I want to let the facts help form my opinions. So what I mean by that is that, look, do I have questions about Chauncey? Yes.
And you should.
But right now, based on the way the team is performing, especially on the defensive end, you have to acknowledge that's because of the work that Coach Billups and his staff have put in.
I think there are honestly some people who are so anti-Chauncey over the last 2 seasons that they want to close their eyes and don't want to see any improvement from the team or see anything that he has done good. Like, just because he's doing good things right now, and I believe he is, doesn't mean he's a good coach. Doesn't mean that we're singing his praises to the heavens and that, he's the second coming of Pop now. It just means that we're not blinded by the last 2 years. We're seeing good things.
Yes. Let me give you a football analogy. Last year, Russell Wilson was terrible. Worst year of his career. The narrative was he was washed. He's done. And I was like, well, I think it might be the coach. So let's see what happens with Sean Payton. Well, so far this year, under Sean Payton, he's top 5 in quarterback rating. He's one of the top touchdown passers in the NFL. He's got a great touchdown to interception ratio at 16-4. And he's coming together and playing the offense the way Coach Payton wants. So I'd rather sit back and allow the season to unfold before I make any bold judgments or try to drop hot takes. So what I'm trying to say is that the season may prove out that Chauncey is not the answer. But so far, the evidence early in the season would indicate that Chauncey is on the right path. And it was you got to give him credit, too, his call to start Shaden when Ant went down. It was his decision. That's good because Shaden has responded, and he's clearly playing better basketball now. And you can't say that Coach Billups does not have a hand in that.
You also know without a doubt, if it were Terry, he would have started like Chris Murray or something because I don't want to affect my rotation.
Yeah, 100%.
like the Noah Vonleh days.
Let's go out to Carlton. Eric is in Carlton. Eric, what's up? Welcome to Game Day. What's on your mind?
Hey there. Thanks for taking the call.
Oh, you got it.
Hey, I won tickets yesterday or the day before, so I'll be at the Cavs game on Wednesday. So thank you so much for the tickets.
That's awesome, man. Congrats. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a East Coast transplant, New Jersey guy, and I'd love to just ask you what your thoughts are on the Knicks. They're putting a whooping right now on the Spurs, and love to see if you have any thoughts. I'm starting to become a Blazers fan. I've been to I was at the Fan Fest. I went to some preseason games, went to games last year. But, yeah, I just would love to hear if you have any thoughts about the Knicks.
Now, I'm curious, did you grow up a Knicks fan?
Yeah. I grew up in New Jersey, and I moved here during the pandemic. So I'm pretty freshly West Coast.
Well, I'll tell you what. One thing I like about the Knicks is I like their coach. They're one of the top defensive teams in the NBA. I think I checked it today. They're like number 2 in the NBA in defensive efficiency. They play extremely hard, and I think Thibodeau has gotten the most out of Julius Randle. So if they can stay healthy and they get their youngsters to continue to develop, then I see them being a playoff team in the East, and we'll see if they can go out there and make some noise.
You think they have need one more piece to make some noise?
Yeah, I would say so, only because you look at the Eastern Conference, there's such a separation from the top with Milwaukee and Boston and everybody else. But I think if you can go out there and find
Dame
the right
didn't
piece.
do us any favors.
Yeah, no, Dame didn't, and then the Celtics getting Drew Holiday didn't help either, which is crazy.
Well, I'm loving Blazers basketball. I enjoy listening to you guys. And
hey, what's the biggest thing you notice? Because you're in Carlton right now, but what is it like coming out from the fast pace of the East Coast to being out here in the Northwest? Do you notice a difference?
Well, I pursued the difference. This was always more my temperament and speed.
Nice.
Life circumstances had me there, so I've wanted to live in Oregon since the 90s.
Well, dude, I can't wait. What you got to do for me, Eric, and welcome to the Northwest. After you go to the game, you got to call in and let me know what you think about the atmosphere at Moda.
I was just telling my son that the guy that gave us the tickets asked us if we'd do that, so I'm going to call you.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. I'd like it. There you go. There's Eric. He's a Knicks fan, but it sounds like he's open to being converted to a Trailblazer fan. And, hey, if you're obviously you enjoy losing because you're a Knicks fan, you'll feel right at home here in Portland. We've been sucking lately. Welcome on board, my friend. Oh, well, what can you do? All right, we'll give you a scoreboard report. Tip-off's coming up at 7. Mike Lynch standing by with the Trailblazer pregame show. And be sure to go to youtube.com and go to our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. Subscribe. Our live links are there. All of our local shows now streaming live on YouTube. All right, checking that NBA scoreboard for you as we get ready for the Blazers and Kings coming up at 7. Third quarter in Charlotte. Wizards on top of the Hornets, 84-73. Kuzma, 22 points and 7 boards thus far. Third quarter in Indiana. Pacers on top of the Jazz, 91-84. Miles Turner, 22 points, 6 boards, and 3 blocks. In Philadelphia, 76ers lead the Celtics, 74-71. Joel Embiid with 25 points and 6 rebounds. Philadelphia and Boston both 5-1 on the year. Halftime in Brooklyn. Clippers lead the Nets 49-46. Paul George with 17 points. Halftime in New York. Knicks on top of the Spurs 65-51. Quickly with 13 points. Second quarter in Chicago. Suns on top of the Bulls 36-31. Durant with 10 points. Into the first in Houston. Rockets lead the Lakers 32-19. Second quarter in Memphis. Heat lead the Grizzlies 38-34. Bam Adebayo with 8 points. Second quarter in Milwaukee. Bucks lead the Pistons 35-27. Second quarter in Minnesota. Timberwolves out in front of the Pelicans 38-29. Karl Anthony Towns with 10 points. Second quarter in Oklahoma City. Thunder lead the Cavs 44-31. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 15 points. And first quarter down in Big D. Mavericks on top of the Raptors 16-8. Doncic 6 points early in that one. 2 games coming up later on tonight. 7 o'clock, ESPN. The Warriors at 6-2 are in Denver to meet the 7-1 Nuggets, the defending champs. Denver favored by 4.5. Steph Curry averaging 30 points a night. Jokic 28, 12, and 8. And in Sacramento at 7 o'clock, the Trailblazers and Kings with the Sacramento Kings favored by 7.5. Brogdon averaging 19 points, 5 rebounds, and Sabonis 15 points, 13 boards, and 5 assists. All right, that's your scoreboard report. We'll come back, and when we do on game day, we'll give you our keys to the game. All right, keys tonight. First off, I want to see the Blazers get off to a good start. What you don't want is to get hit with an avalanche where the Kings get out and run and they pile up the points early and they bury the Trailblazers. Portland's offense, as we know, is a bit of a struggle. So they've got to stay within striking distance, and hopefully they can make some plays in the second half and have a chance to get the win. You know, tempo is going to be critical tonight. So I think for the Blazers, protecting the basketball, making sure you rebound well. You don't want to give the Kings an opportunity to get on the open floor because they move so well. I think also I want to see more of what I saw in that third quarter against Memphis on Sunday night. A lot of player movement and ball movement. A lot of different guys touching the ball and force that defense to defend all 5 spots. And then hopefully what we'll see from the Blazers, like we've seen in the 3 wins, is, 4 to 5 guys making a contribution and really stepping up to make game-winning plays. And outside of that, just overall defense. They're number 9 in the league right now. I want to see them continue to, really push and make strides on that end. And we're going to get a chance to see how they do against better offensive teams this week against the Kings and Lakers. Burkhardt, what are you looking for tonight here in Sacramento?
Yeah, I think a key to this one is defensively stopping them from moving and get Sacramento into more of their half-court sets. This is a team that likes to run even with or without De'Aaron Fox. So if you can just force them not out of that little comfort zone just a little bit and kind of dictate the tempo, as you said, I think that's your recipe to I can't say win the game because I don't know how many games they're going to win, but at least stay competitive and maybe sneak out of Sacramento with one.
I think it's pretty cool, too, that Chris Murray gets a chance to be on the floor with his brother in the NBA. They played together at Iowa, and there's going to be a lot of family in the house tonight. But that's cool, man, because when we talked to him on Media Day, that was something they were looking forward to. I don't know if he'll get on the floor tonight, but hopefully Chris will get a couple of minutes on the floor where he can get out there in front of family.
Chauncey, if this is a developing year and you know it, you better put Chris on the floor for this chance, man.
He'll lob a bone to him, won't he?
You better.
Yeah.
You better. This will be the test of whether or not he's a good coach or not.
The Kings, they're an aesthetically pleasing brand of basketball. I like a lot of their guys. I'm sad De'Aaron Fox is not going to play tonight. That's actually good for the Blazers, but they got a lot of dudes on the team that are cool. I like their coach. I like the way they play. Big fan of Sabonis. I'm just down, dude. Harrison Barnes is a cool dude. I like a lot of their guys.
I like them. They play hard. They move well. I think Mike Brown's great. Very, very likable coach. Good coach. And he's another one that he's had some rough goes, but he's learned from every stop along the way. And to go there and break the playoff drought with Sacramento, that's a big deal. I'm
most jealous, though, that they have a laser beam that shoots out of the top of their arena. That's one of the coolest things of all time.
Light the beam.
Light the beam. I'm not going to lie. I want to push that button. And Dwight tried to ruin it for me and said that button that is pushed by whoever pushes the button does not control the beam. I do not believe that. The button controls the beam. When you push it, it goes on, and I think that's awesome.
So someone needs to tell the Godfather that sometimes it's just okay to shut up.
That's
Why
not
ruin
his
it?
style. I know. He wants to ruin everything. He wants to ruin everything, and it's great. I love watching when one of his takes is just disintegrating before our eyes, too. And he won't get off of it, which is cool. But I have certain dreams in life. I accomplished one. Ever since I was a little boy, little Chad, about 5 years old, I wanted to fly the Millennium Falcon. It was a dream of mine. And then I finally got to do it when I went down to Disneyland during the summertime, when I was sitting in the Millennium Falcon, handling the controls and going to light speed. I thought that was the greatest thing ever.
It's a pretty fun ride.
Oh, it's a great ride. I'm sure your kids loved it when you were down there. And now that I've accomplished that mission, I want to push the button in Sacramento and light the beam.
See, if you wanted to drive the Millennium Falcon, that means you are a Star Wars guy. Did that Star Wars land awesome?
It's so cool. I wish, here's what I wish. I wish that young Chad could have experienced Star Wars Land.
Oh, man.
But dude, even walking through Star Wars Land, seeing the lightsabers and seeing, that's like my childhood dream right there. I can't believe they brought it to life. And then I saw, Ray and some other person, by the X-Wing. Everything they had in there was just you got to be kidding me with this place.
Yeah, my middle child didn't like when the sun went down, got a little afraid of the dark, and the fireworks show spooked her. She's like, I'm scared. It's too dark. It's too dark. So I was like, let's go into this shop real quick. Follow me, and let her pick out a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Then she was like, I'm not afraid of the dark anymore. She thought it was the coolest, man.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, wait, by the way, how's the violence amongst the Burkhardt children in the household?
Violence?
Yeah.
Fists are always flying.
I love that. The latest story was a classic. Love it.
For those of you who don't know, my middle child punched my oldest child because she didn't flush the toilet.
And then when you tried to call her out on it, what was her response to you?
What was it? I can't remember. She's like, well, she didn't flush the toilet, and I just hate it. And you hate it too.
And she accused you of not doing it sometimes.
She did. The irony was a couple days later, she didn't flush the toilet.
Oh!
And then mom goes, you punch your sister for that. She's like, yeah, so?
Defiance.
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Mike Lynch with the Trailblazer pregame show. And then, hey, after the game tonight, you can join us on YouTube and here on 620 for fifth quarter. Chris and I will be back to break everything that goes down on the floor tonight. Enjoy the game, my friends. Show me your Blazer.
Let's get out of here. Up and